Hello students, welcome to IK Educations. Our today's topic is shell, subshells and orbitals. Before starting our topic, we have to understand what is atom. We have to visualize what is atom. First, atom. Atom contains centrally located nucleus which contain positively charged protons. Protons are positively charged particles. Around a nucleus, electrons move in a orbits. Around the nucleus, electrons move in a orbits. Electrons are negatively charged particles. These circles are nothing but energy levels or shell. These circles are nothing but shells. These are shell or energy level which are represented by principal quantum number. Principal quantum number means n equals to 1 represent first energy level or first shell. N is equal to 2 represent second shell. N is equal to 3 represent third and n is equal to 4 represent fourth shell. Means 1, 2, 3 and 4. These are principal quantum number representing energy levels and which are represented by principal quantum number are represented by first energy level is represented by K, second by L, third by N, third by M, N, and fourth by N. K, L, M, N. And each shell, each shell or energy level contains certain number of electrons in their orbits. K shell or energy level contains 2 electrons in their orbit and L electron contains L shell contain 8 electrons, 8 electrons and M shell contains 18 electrons and N shell contain 32 electrons. N shell contain 32 electrons. For your notes, I am giving you written notes. Atom contain centrally located nucleus which contain positively charged protons. Proton particle. Electron revolves around nucleus which is electron is negatively charged atom particle. Electrons revolve around nucleus and is negatively charged particle revolves around nucleus in orbits in shells. Shells are represented by principal quantum number, which is 1, and 1 is represented by 2. 1 is represented by k, and 1 is energy level 1. Principal quantum number 2 represent second energy level, third energy level, and fourth energy level, and which are represented by L, M, N. First shells and energy levels can occupy certain number of electrons. K shell can occupy 2 electrons, L occupy 8 electrons, M occupy 18 electrons, and N occupy 32 electrons. For calculating this, we have general formula that how many electron present in one shell. Shells are K, L, M, N, and principal quantum number for K is 1, means N equal to 1, N equal to 2, N equals to 3, and N equals to 4. The formula for calculating electrons in an shell is N 2N square. By this formula, you can calculate the number of electron in a shell. For example, N, when question number 1, when N is equals to 2, then by applying formula, when N equals to 2, N equals to 2, then applying by formula 2 into bracket 2 square, then by solving this, 8 electrons, and you know that L shell contain 2 electrons, 8 electrons, and one shell contain 2 electrons. By this formula, if N is equals to 3, means third energy level or M shell, you will find the exact number of electron in M shell by this formula, N 2N square. by अप्लाइंग दिस फॉर्मूला n की वैल्यू हमें 3 लेनी है. By solving this, you will get this answer, and M shell contain 18 electrons. Now we have to see subshell. Each shell contain subshell. Each shell contain subshells. Shell are K, L, M, N. Shells contain specific number of shells. Such K contain 1 shell, L contain 2 shell, M contain 3 shell, and N contain 4 shell. Which are represented by S, P, D, and F. We have only 4 type of subshell: S, P, D, and F. But shell K contain only 1 shell, and L shell contain 2 shells. Means first energy level contains only 1 shell. Second energy level contain two subshell. First subshell, 2 subshell. Then third energy level means M shell contain 3 subshell. Then fourth energy level N shell contain 4 subshell. Let's understand what is subshell, and let's understand this by diagrammatically. You know, this is nucleus, this is nucleus. Near nucleus there is a shells in which electrons are present. Shells: first shell, second shell, third shell, and fourth shell. Look, this is first shell containing only one subshell. This is known as S. Energy level N equal to 1 or K shell or K shell. This is energy level 2 or N equals to 2 or L shell, which contain two subshell. Energy level 2 contain two subshell, which is known as S and P. Energy level 3 contain energy level 3 M shell contain three subshell, which is known as SP, SPD, and energy level 4 N equals to 4 or N shell, K, L, M, N shell. N shell contain four subshell, which is known as S, P, D, and F. S, P, D, and F. Further subshell contains orbitals. Further subshell contain orbital in their shells, in their subshells. Shell containing subshell, subshell containing contains orbitals. Means yes, subshell contain only one orbital. Yes, subshell contains only one orbital. And here n equals to 2 means, see, n equals to 1 means first energy level, which is represented by K shell. K shell contain one subshell, which is known as S, and S subshell contain orbital, only one orbital, and one orbital can occupy two electrons. One orbital is filled by two electrons. Means shell K contains only two electrons in their orbit. Shell K contains two electrons in their orbit. Then L shell has two subshell, and S has one orbit, P has three orbits, and one orbit can contain two electrons. Means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Means L shell contain 8 electrons. 8 electrons. Then M shell contains SPD subshells, 3 subshells. S has one orbit, P has 3 orbits, and D has 5 orbits. You have to learn it. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. D has 5 orbits. One orbit contains 2 electrons. Orbits are represented by circles. In these orbits are represented by circle containing 2 electrons. Orbits are represented by circle containing two electrons in each orbit. In each orbit, these circles are known as orbit. Orbits are present in subshell. Orbits are present in subshell. Subshells contain a number of orbitals. See shell K. K shell or energy level 1 has one subshell, and one subshell has one orbit. Then L shell contains two subshells, namely S and P, which has two which has S has one orbit and P has three orbits. And M shell contains three subshells S, P, D. S has one orbit, P has three orbits, and D has five orbits. In each orbit containing two electrons. Means M shell contains 18 electrons and N shell has four subshells. S shell has one orbit, P has three, and D has five orbits, and F has seven orbits. Each orbit containing two electrons. Means that N shell containing only 32 electrons. I hope you has write down the notes in your notebook. But one point you have to also write orbitals. Orbitals is the final location. Orbitals is the final location of electrons, and also you have to know that each each subshell each subshell contains certain number of orbitals. Each subshell contain certain number of orbitals. Like you can see here, subshell S contain only one orbital, P contain three orbitals. Here you can see D contain five orbitals and F contain seven orbitals. D contain five orbital, F contain seven orbitals. Let's take a summary on our topic. In an atom, we have shells represented by K, L, M, and n. And also energy levels by principal quantum number 1, 2, 2 and 4. Then shell contains subshells. Subshells are represented by S, P, S, P, D, F. But first energy level contain only one subshell. Second energy level means second shell L contain two cell S and P, and third contain S, P, D. Third shell contains three subshells, and fourth shell contain S, P, D and F subshells. S subshells. Subshells contains certain number of orbitals. You have to see first shell contain one subshell. S shell has only one orbit in which two electron can fit, means two electron. It means that first shell contain only two electrons, and then second shell represented by L contains two subshell S and P. S has only one orbit containing two electrons, and P has three orbits containing six electrons. Total 8 electrons are present in our L shell. Then M shell contains three subshells S, P and D, which contain total number of electrons 18. S is a subshell containing one orbit. P is a subshell. S, P, S, P, S and D. S is a subshell containing orbit. P is a subshell containing three orbits. D is a subshell containing five orbits. And M, M shell or third energy level contains three subshells. And final N shell means fourth energy level contains four shells, means S, P, D and F, containing 32 electrons, containing 32 electrons. You have to learn that S has only one orbit, P has three orbits, D has five orbits, and F has seven orbits. S can contain only two electron, P can contain only six electron, but in L shell has two subshells S and P. S contain two electrons, P contain six electrons. Total number of electrons are present in L shell is 8. Then M contain S, P, D, and S contain two electron. S contain one shell. In S subshell contain one orbitals in which two electrons are present. P subshell has three orbital 1, 2, 3, and three orbital contain six electrons, and D subshell has five orbitals in which 10 electrons are contained. Then yes, N shell. N shells or fourth energy level contains 4 subshells. Shell containing 4 subshells SPDF. Here total number of electrons are 32, means 2 8 2 8 18 32. 2 8 18 32. K shell contain 2 electrons, L shell contain 8 electrons, M shell contains 18 electrons, and N shell contain 32 electrons. So student, we have completed our topic of shell, subshells and orbitals. In the next video, we are going to discuss how to write electronic configuration. So student, bye for now. If any doubt in my video, you can comment me.